Hi, this is Mike from the Deck Network with our guest host.
Guest host? It's been like the 4th time here. I'm almost becoming a regular.
Well,
Matt,
I asked him to be a permanent guest host. He hasn't decided yet, so we'll have that decision.
The negotiations are still. We have agents talking to each other.
For another day, but we've been working on Matt's deck, and
it's turning into a trilogy. Oh, it's coming out great. We got some video we're going to show you in a couple seconds. It's starting to really look like a deck.
Okay, so let's get moving. This is something that I've been considering for a long time because I do get a lot of letters asking me questions. Usually it's something interesting.
I'm sure you're getting a lot of requests for dates and things like that.
No. I'm too old for any of that stuff. But
well, the one question I think everyone had was, do the sneakers always match the shirt in the videos? Because
yes, they always do. My daughter and I, we go out shopping, and
you coordinate it.
I must have 12 different pairs of sneakers and dozens of shirts, and yes, they always match. But I got this one from a Jill, and she said, we would like to know your recommendation for my deck. The deck is about 500 square feet, and we do have some budget constraints. I'm thinking about TimberTech Reliaboard over wood. What do you feel? All right.
Good question, Jill.
What I've been saying this for as long as people have been asking me this question has been for many, many years. If you don't care what your deck looks like, build it out of treated wood and leave it alone. But if you want it to look nice, you're going to have to do something to it. And that is going to involve some sort of painting, staining, sealing, or whatever. Now, just straight sealant is easy to do, and that's not all that expensive. But if you really want it to look nice,
and why wouldn't you want it to look nice? You're adding this beautiful 500 square foot deck on your home. You're going to want it to look like something that's presentable, right?
But if you put a treated deck on there, you're going to have to stain it. And once you stain it, that initial cost of the wood deck plus the cost of the maintenance over 5 years will outcost
putting it down the first time.
Standard composite decking that you just have to clean. So, Jill, to the answer to your question, yes, the TimberTech Reliaboard is much better than wood. We get this question all the time. Where we live here on Long Island, there's a lot of oceanfront properties, and the decks are enormous. And sometimes people will come in and they'll say, I have a 2,000 square foot deck. I just can't afford to put the real nice decking down on it, but I don't think we should build it out of treated wood either. What's your recommendation? So we do a cost analysis. We see what it will cost for the treated wood versus the cost of, for instance, the TimberTech Reliaboard has a very nice price point. It's a name brand, like I always say, stick with the name brands. It always works. They always end up buying it because, sure, it may cost $1.25 or $1.50 more per square foot, but once you consider the maintenance on that treated wood, it's really a no-brainer.
And I think that's why it's important that people ask you the questions, because it's not an apples-to-apples comparison when you're pricing this stuff out. And over the life of a deck, or even in the first 5 years of it, you could be recouping your investment. It looks better, no maintenance. It's a
lot of times people will base a decision
just on the numbers.
On the initial cost. They don't look at the cost over time. So that could...
and there's a part 2 to the letter. It says, P.S. Mike, what are you doing Saturday night? So we'll leave that till the next video, I guess, because that's a good question, though, Jill. I appreciate it.
Okay, so let's get to this video.
Okay.
And today we are at Matt's house again. Matt, what's doing?
Not much. Deck day today, man.
Deck day, yeah. So today we're going to be putting the decking down and putting some stair treads on and doing some basic cleanup on the deck. So tell me, you got a little different...
Well, you can see a little bit of a different addition to the ensemble today. We've added knee pads, and from my understanding, what we're doing today is going to involve a lot of being on the knees and a lot of laying the decking down.
And usually when you're a real deck builder, your knees get tough.
Yeah. Well, in training.
I never wore knee pads, but that's just the way it goes. But I got to tell you, you look like one of the singers from the Village People.
I can tell. I'll be honest with you. Halloween's around the corner. This could be a costume for me. It's fun to build a D-E-C-K.
Okay. So, all right. What we want to do every once in a while when we're building a deck is you want to take a look at it with a critical eye to see if there's anything necessary to change, because you don't want any problems, because problems compound themselves. So when Matt was putting the come on over here, Willie. When Matt was putting the joist hangers on, he was banging them in and banging them from the side, and what happened was, if you look right down this line, it's got a little wave to it. So we got to work on getting that wave out, and then before we put the fascia board and the decking down. And then come on over here, and you can see, if you look down from the top of the deck, and as you bring the camera down, if this was your eyes, and you would come on down, right down here, Willie, right down, and when you get right to the deck height, everything disappears. That says that you got a pretty good of a flat deck with no major crowns or dips in it or anything. So yeah, because we're not very far apart here on these two beams, we're not going to really have a major problem.
Now, is that typical, Mike, where you want to kind of spot check yourself throughout the job?
Oh, of course.
Or because I was just banging around like a drunken
yeah,
monkey?
you always want to check on it, especially when you're putting decking down. Now, every 5 deck boards, we're going to look down the line to make sure we have a good...
Why? Because that'll really show the imperfection?
Oh yeah, well you want it, it's easier to catch a mistake before it gets too bad. But one very important thing, and as all carpenters would know, that you have to be
oh yeah, this is crucial.
Fully hydrated. So we have our Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, and you must be properly nourished. So we have our basic jelly donut here.
And it's great. We got a dozen of them, and we just pick through them throughout the day. By around donut 4 or 5, it turns into a sugar-filled haze of just building. So it's good. What's that? That's number 2 for Mike. He's been here for 15 minutes,
yeah,
so
okay.
watch him go.
Well, I have a problem with donuts. But, all right.
Go nuts for donuts.
Okay, let's, all right. All right, we're up on the deck now, and as I said before, we're not doing this job to make it easier, but to show the viewers different methods of doing things. Now, this is extremely important. We're going to join, our deck is roughly 22 feet wide here, so we have 16s and 6s. That's, well, we can't get 22 or 24 foot decking to cut down, so we're going to have to put joints in it. So we're going to put a joint at 16 foot and at 6 foot. You always have to have a double where the joint is. Now I'm going to say it again. You always have to have a double where the joint is so that you have plenty of nailing on both sides. So it doesn't matter what type of clip you're using or screw you're using, you always have to have it wide enough here. If you put a screw right here too close, if you try to get both of them on one, you're going to split it. If you're using a board that's grooved, you can't get both clips on one joist. We see this all the time. People will send me photographs and they'll say, what happened to my deck? Well, you didn't put a double there. So this is so important. You have to have doubles here. And so next we're going to go to cutting around the post. So Matt, if you want to hold the microphone for me. Now,
you got it.
As I say, I'm retired from deck building. You might, and so I'm coming out of retirement, similar to Roger Clemens right now.
And it seems like you still got heat on the fastball, Mike.
Okay, I need a tape measure. Who's got a tape measure?
I have one on my collar.
In your collar?
Here we go.
I got a tape measure.
Cameraman does.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is the top of the decking, and we know that it's going to break right there. But if we go and we cut it on the top here, we don't want to have pencil marks on the top of our deck. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down. We're going to pretty much face it where we want it to break. We're going to get our speed square, and we're going to mark on both sides. Leave about 1/4 of an inch in. We're going to mark on both sides. Then we know that we want to be, well, we have roughly 4 1/8 inches. So we want to have about 3/4 of an inch overhang. So let's go 4 7/8. Again, we're going to have it, it's going to flip over. So we're going to measure it from this side. So we're going to be about 4 7/8. As we all know from geometry class, 2 points make a line, 3 points make a plane,
4 points make a party.
Okay, and then turn it around. And not having done one of these cuts in 9 years, the first
How'd it go?
Pretty much exactly where we want it.
Boom.
And we're going to do the same thing on the next piece coming through right there. And we're going to have it. There's no pencil marks on the outside. Sure, we went a hair over there, but that's just a feel. Most of the time you use something that has a sleeve going over or some sort of collar on it. That'll hide all those imperfections. Okay, that's it. All right, we're on the deck, and we have our deck dog over here Matt. He's got his knee pads on.
I finally understand why I needed the knee pads. This is the part of the day where the knee pads come into play.
Okay.
Basically spacing out all these boards, right?
And you got your collar on because you always know, you found out that you took your collar off and then you're up on top.
I needed it.
Yeah. So you're always
pain in the ass 90% of the time, but for the 10% of the time you need it, it comes in handy.
Okay,
you know?
so tell us what you're doing here.
All right, so basically the Camo tool.
The Camo tool
which is doing a lot of the spacing for me as we just basically apply the boards to the framing here. And Mike, you were saying it's important to start at the joists.
Yeah, you want to get your joints work and then you work your far end. You want to get nice lines, and so we have this Camo tool, which a lot of guys seem to like because it spaces it. You're not nailing through the top. It kind of goes in on the side.
It hides the hides the hold here.
Yeah, it's a good product for a middle of the road deck without question about it. The pricing's good on it. The screws are pretty inexpensive, and so Matt, why don't you show us how that works?
So basically what we're doing here is we're just taking the tool, okay, putting it. Now what's great is it does the spacing for you, which that would be something, if I had to just eyeball this, I'd probably screw it up.
Yeah.
You know?
It claims it does a 3/16 space, but it looks like it's more like a 1/4 inch space, but that's okay.
So you have it here. All right, you make sure it looks good. You take these little screws that fit perfectly into the, what do you call that, like a holder or something?
Yeah,
some sort of
it's
deal.
kind of like it's the tool itself.
Now I learned today actually from Mike that you're supposed to screw on the outside in.
Yeah.
What do we call that?
Because it kind of toe screws it in because it's gonna bring it in tight.
All right, so we got our screws in there. Basically now you just pop it in.
And the bit itself has a stop on it, so it doesn't go too far in.
It seems like, for me, it's the perfect tool because it's
homeowner friendly.
I was gonna say it's kind of foolproof.
Yeah, it's homeowner friendly, and you're not seeing screws on the top because that's what people they desire, to have no screws on the top, and a lot of boards aren't grooved from the factory. And this particular product, this is the Trex Madeira Accents line. It's a straight composite decking. It's a great middle of the road
And look at this, the Camo tool actually matches my Camo shorts.
Yeah, well,
you see, we kind of coordinated that, which is pretty impressive here.
As mentioned earlier on the Deck Network, Matt being a metrosexual,
it works pretty well. I'm coordinating the tools to the outfit. That's pretty impressive.
He wants to have his camouflage. Everything has to match. He's got his camouflage thong underwear, I'm sure.
Take it easy.
All right, we got the decking down. What do you think?
I think we did a great job here.
Yeah, okay, just Matt's gonna run around with the Camo tool and just finish screwing the rest of it off. He's gonna clean it off. He's gonna get some composite decking cleaner to clean off some of these stains because they were stacked up for a month or so. And it'll look pretty good. The stairs are pretty much done. We just gotta put the railings, and we'll get some lattice on here. We gotta find something that matches, and we're just about done. So it was pretty easy, huh?
Wasn't bad for all in a day's work. We got a lot of stuff done today. It was almost like putting a puzzle together at the end, fitting in those pieces, but definitely a job well done. And next step is
yeah, we just got to get the railings, and that's it. The railings and some lattice, and we'll be done. Now, what was the hardest part?
Wearing the ensemble, I think. No, just kidding. I would say, you know, the footings were a bitch. You know, the Camo tool wasn't too bad. I would say so far it's been digging the footings. Digging the footings, and that's what a lot of people actually skip that, or they don't put footings in at all. Because what would they do?
They just put things right on the ground. They put a cement block, which of course is not to code, but people do that, anything they can to try to cut corners on it. But all right, that wraps it up. That's the
good stuff there, Mike.
Okay.
I like that guy in the red shirt. He was a plucky.
All right, one thing that I want to add, and I mentioned it during the video, is that when you are building a deck and you are joining two pieces of decking together, like this, you have to have a double underneath it. No matter if it's a PVC decking like this particular one is here that has clips, or if you're screwing it through the top, you have to have a double. There just isn't enough room. Products expand and contract, and once a month I get a picture and people say, what happened to my deck? They didn't put a double on it. It's very simple, very easy to use. Now, Matt's deck is a composite deck, and we use the Camo tool on that one. You can use a screw like this. Here it's called it's a composite screw. It has a reverse thread on it, and it's meant to keep the mushrooming down. I'm sure that one's going to...
What does that mean?
If you use a standard screw on a composite decking, when it's bringing it through, it's going to push up some of this material. It's going to leave a bump on it, and they call that a mushroom. And so some smart guy somewhere came up with this. It has a reverse thread on the top that cuts through and makes a nice little hole on it, and when the head of the screw comes down, goes down flush with it, and it doesn't leave any mushroom on it. So that works pretty well. Another method, and people always ask me this one, can you use a nail gun on composite decking? So the Trex company, who was the pioneer in this industry, they came up with, by asking questions, and they came up with that if you use a 15 gauge stainless steel nail with, it's a nice finished head, it's got glue on it, beautiful nail, it's got a nice little, it's got the nice head, glue, beautiful finish on it, 15 gauge, not 16 gauge.
So that's going to be not as strong as a 16 gauge? Or?
Well, in wire, which this is what it is, it's a wire nail, as the number goes lower, the gauge or the size gets larger.
Okay,
so a 12 gauge wire is going to be thicker than a 18 gauge. So they want you to use a nice thick stainless steel nail. It's got a little head on it. It works great on composite decking. Don't use it on PVC decking, though. It works very good on composite decking because PVC decking moves around a little bit more than composite decking. Great little, great nail.
You nailed it, Mike. You did
yeah, one of my friends, Eddie from Ace Decking, loves these things. Okay, that's about it for this one.
Keep the letters coming in. Mike, how do they reach you?
Mike@thedecknetwork.com.
If you have any questions or comments for me, send them to Mike. He'll forward them over, and we'll address it the next time we get here.
I'll screen them because we got the one letter from Consuelo, Matt's manicurist, and
the stylist. There's a stylist team that comes into this whole picture, and they're concerned about the appearance that it doesn't get tarnished while I'm out there working. But so far, we've done great, and looking forward to getting what's next. The railings.
We're gonna do the railings next, and we may do the lattice, or we'll wait till another time to do the lattice, but we're going to wrap up his deck with the railings. All right, folks, that's it for today.
See you next time.
Bye now.